Good evening everyone and welcome to One Hub's Racing Prestige Tier, proudly sponsored by Next Level Racing, and we're here at the Baku City Circuit in the heart of Azerbaijan for round 4 of season 14. I've managed to grab both Samster and Owen White for a quick lobby walk. Before we do go to a track, you can see where the lobby is slowly starting to fill up with more and more drivers, but we do have a few missing. So Owen, in the Toro, so I'll come to you first, my friend. Hopefully the noise from the PlayStation doesn't cause too many problems on the stream, but tonight you'll be starting at the back of the field, or at least towards the very back anyway, with a qualifying ban picked up from retiring the car on track in the previous qualifying session at round 3. So obviously probably a bit annoyed and disappointed by the qualifying ban, but to be honest, at a circuit like this, starting last isn't really a bad position, is it?
It certainly isn't. I mean, I was going to start pretty low anyway, I think, but it just means I can stay out of trouble because it's a very short run down to turn 1, and certainly we saw in Precision anyway that I commented earlier, it gets mental into there. I think from last on the grid there's certainly opportunities. It's not like other tracks, because I think in Precision as well, Simon, he started last, was on the podium. So if you keep it clean, you should be okay. So I think there's a few things I can do there, and I can also help with my strategy as well. So yeah, there's worse places to take a qualifying ban, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned there, which is going to be another question for me, keeping it clean means you're probably going to be on course for a good haul of points. Is that the strategy for yourself tonight, really? Just stay out of trouble for the first couple of laps, pick your way through the potential carnage that will be in the midfield, and maybe around about lap 6 or 7, see where you are in the race, see where you are in the standing order, then focus on what will be the next stage of the race. So to you, is it just a case of keeping it at the walls and seeing what will happen as the race develops and unfolds?
Well, yeah, I'll probably stick on a set of hards and just race my own race, keep it clean, stay out of the walls and see where I end up, and hopefully it'll sort of start to fall into my hands as long as I don't hit the wall, pretty much.
And yeah, and being like obviously commentating on one of the previous tiers from tonight, do you then pick up some useful information, maybe tyre strategies, that sort of thing, how far you can push a certain set of tyres, anything like that? And do you take that information when you're racing, obviously in this tier later on, or is there a massive difference between obviously commentating and racing that you can't really see the divide between the two?
Commentary definitely does help with strategy because you get to see what other people do, how the tyres behave, and just sort of the general pace of each compound, which I was luckily able to see tonight in Precision. So certainly it helps me feel a bit more confident about going onto the hards, especially seeing because they work so well on the track. So yeah, I certainly do think commentating would help with that, and so I do feel a little bit more informed going into this than maybe some others.
And obviously this circuit, it has a love-hate relationship with a lot of the drivers. Some absolutely love coming here, others just can't wait for it to be done. Where's your sort of standing on how you feel about this circuit? Is it worth keeping an eye on you tonight and seeing you carve your way through the field, or are you just hoping to pick up some sort of a decent result?
It's one of my favourite tracks, this one, because it was one of the tracks in the beta, because I was one of the people that had it, and I absolutely sweated it out. Like, I know this track back to front, and when the game came out as well, first I did straight onto Baku TT. I mean, I don't know, it's just a track that I really enjoy, which is quite ironic actually, considering it's me who keeps crashing all the time. But honestly, I think I can do quite well tonight. I enjoy the track. I think I could be quite consistent around here. So yeah, I'd say hopefully keep an eye on me if I'm in the race long enough.
Exactly what we'll do. Hopefully you can survive, and we'll keep flashing back to see you in a tour soon and see how you get on. But for now, thank you very much for joining me for the grid walk, and good luck in both qualifying and the race.
Yeah, cheers Alex.
Cheers. That takes me on to the second driver we've got in the grid walk then, Samster. He wasn't here last week in the Renault because he was busy moving into his new digs at uni, but he's all settled now with a nice little Wi-Fi setup as well, so hopefully he will be here now for the rest of the season. Sam, you weren't here last week. Were you quite disappointed to be missing out on China last week, because it looked like one of those races that could have been quite profitable for you with some good points? Or is it a case of China was one of those circuits where you were quite happy to miss because you weren't so strong there in the past?
I don't think you ever want to miss any races, especially where it's going to be tough to pick up points this season, knowing my pace and the others. But China's sort of a mediocre track in terms of how well I perform normally, so not too annoyed. I wish it was Monaco I was missing or something like that, then I'd been much better. Yeah, no, I watched the race and I reckon I could have picked up some decent points, but it's going to be I think it's going to be quite realistic in terms of real life now, how I know who's in the midfield, and sometimes people that sneak 4th and 5th, and when they do, it's like, oh, they're going to jump you in the standings and whatever. But Baku is a good track, and hopefully I can pick up some good points today.
So talking about, obviously now we're into round 4 of the season, you've already missed of course round 3 as well. Are you starting to play the strategy game? Obviously you know the drivers in here that you're quicker than, the drivers that are quicker than you, and the drivers that you're going to be battling with, you know, during the course of the season. So is this now a bit tactical, the way you now sort of attack and defend other drivers, knowing that sometimes there'll be drivers that will get past you and you'll go, okay, they're having a lucky race, for example, and there's other drivers that you're looking at as well have had a poor race, and you think, right, I'll capitalise on that to get ahead of them in the standings. So are you now sort of looking at this as a long game, sort of taking the season not really one race at a time, but looking at the end goal to beat certain drivers around you?
Well, I've definitely felt that way since the beginning. There's obviously a set amount of people that I know that say if they have an off or whatever on the first lap, but they somehow rejoin and they work their way through the pack, I won't fight too difficult unless it's towards the end of the race, because I either know they're much quicker or not, or if they're on a better strategy in the middle on fresher tyres, then it's no use. But on a track like this, it can be really tactical. If someone's right on the back of you, if you let them through coming into the last sector, you can just get a nice tow all the way down to the first corner and just follow them around for a bit. And it's a bit like a Spa on one of those tracks. But towards the end, I'm happy to fight anyone.
I mean, you and your teammate Matt, you've been very close all season, really very competitive, setting identical lap time, well, nearly identical lap times in qualifying, been running very close in the race as well. You said as well you're friends, so obviously do you link up during the qualifying the races, go and show a little private party, talk about setup options, strategy, and try to help each other out with each and every race?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Matt have done this for years now, and it's sort of a matter of we both just, when we've got the time, we sit together and practice on Friday, mainly complaining about how slow we are compared to everyone else, and then it sort of clicks as we get close there. But it can sort of backfire a little bit, because we always are so close in the race. I remember the season I won my championship in season 12. We had a race in Canada where we literally just were so close the whole race, it didn't benefit either of us, and I ended up getting damaged running into the back of him. But I think it's safe to say it's not exactly a secret in keeping, but we may look to give each other a bit of a tow in quali if that's possible. We can work that out depending on the timings of what happens with the weather. Yeah, it's very useful having someone that I can trust and ask anything really.
Yeah, and obviously having a good teammate that you can communicate with and work well together, it only benefits both yourself as a driver and the team as a whole throughout the course of the season. And final question for me before I let you go before qualifying. The circuit here, like I said to Owen as well, love-hate relationship. So where are you standing on this one? Are you looking forward to getting this on the go, or do you just want to get rid of it as soon as?
Well, it's one of those tracks where I feel like if I put the work in and I've not had as much time as I'd like to practice today, then I could be very strong. It's a very strong track for pad users if you look on time trial and races in other leagues and what so. And on the wheel, people do struggle. So it would be a good race for me to capitalise, because I know people certainly Onyx and Paris won't be struggling, but it won't be, and Blizzard even, but they may not be at their peak as such. So we'll just see what happens.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on you in the race as well. Hopefully you avoid all the carnage that's expected to happen during both qualifying and the race, and hopefully you can pick up a positive result to push on in your season for yourself and of course the Renault team.
Awesome. Take care, mate.
Thank you very much for joining. And that's it then. That's Samster and Owen White with a little grid walk there. A few questions just asked them, see how they're going to prepare for tonight's race. And so this will be a true test of skill and ultimate concentration as these drivers do battle around a super quick street circuit. Sectors 1 and 3 sees long straights and 90-degree corners, with Sector 2 finding confined spaces and one-line traffic through the infamous castle section. Accidents can and have happened at pretty much every corner, and one snatched break will see you in the wall and potentially out of this race. You don't necessarily need to be the quickest here for a positive result, but being one of the cleanest will reap rewards. The track length is just over 6 kilometres in length, with 20 challenging corners, 11 to the left and 9 to the right, with turns 8 to 12 containing the before mentioned castle section. Drivers can easily outbrake themselves at turns 1, 2 and 3, especially if they're busy battling cars around them. Turn 15 at the top of the hill is also a challenge, so don't be surprised to see a car in the wall there at some point, and turn 16 is vitally important as this leads on to the high speed run to the finish line with speeds expected to be well over 200 miles an hour. So we've got 17 drivers with us tonight. Lakitu and someone else is missing, but I did miss the message at who it was. So hopefully having 17 here in qualifying. Will it be 16 because Owen's obviously got the qualifying ban? How many will finish? Well, we saw in one of the tiers, I think there was 10 out of the 17 that finished. I think the Pinnacle Tier is still going on at the moment. The last time I checked, it wasn't even half race distance, and they had 12 out of, I think, the 16 or 17 that started. So yeah, place your bets. Are we going to get less or more than 10 finishes? Who knows? But it looks like then at the moment track conditions are nice and clear, a little bit overcast, but at least they're dry, and obviously with the soft, medium and hard compound tyres here, some drivers will be out doing banker laps early on, and then they'll be going for their quick ones towards the end. So the drivers and constructors standings, these weren't updated until very, very literally minutes before I went live I should say. So IRT Louis, who won the race last week, I did try to get him in for the grid walk, but for whatever reason he couldn't join, didn't want to join. He won the race last week, if you remember, but then picked up a time penalty after the race, which pushed him down to third, promoted Blizzard from P3 to P2, and promoted Marquez's from P2 to the race win. So VSR Marquez's in the Red Bull leads the championship on 51 points. VSR Wayne in second place on 44. Onyx in third on 35, and ILRT Louis back in fourth on 33. VSR Blizzard in the second Red Bull in fifth place on 30. In the constructors, Red Bull lead the way quite healthily, even at this early stage, 81 points. Williams in second place on 58. Mercedes in P3 on 44. Then it's Ferrari in fourth on 39, and the McLaren team in fifth on 33. And talking about McLaren drivers, here is Louis then on the outlap. As you can see, other drivers out there as well. So bring up the telemetry and via lap data as well, and we'll also bring up what tyres they've currently fitted on. So both the McLarens out there very early, and as Sam said there in the lobby walk, their teammates might be trying to help each other around here. That from turn 16 all the way to the start finish line is flat out. You've got the little left right kink halfway round that little section as well, but you can gain close to about 4 to 5 tenths of a second, I reckon, by following someone close behind, obviously with the DRS open and the slipstream helping you reach a higher top speed and therefore a quicker lap time. So Louis just moving out the way there, allowing his teammate Kian through, and one of the racing points, which I believe is Chapelele. So we've got Louis out there on the hard tyres, quite a few drivers also going out in the medium and the soft. So representable lap times at the moment, we shouldn't pay too much attention. I think most of these guys will be on the old banker laps, just making sure they get something in place. So we've got Matt in the Alfa Romeo, he's out on circuit as well. A few drivers still in the pits. I believe Mark SP might be the first one that is starting a flying lap. So we'll take a lap on board then with the Ferrari driver. He's already negotiated turn 1 and now through turn 2. Very narrow on the entry as well, and it's quite easy to clip the wall on the exit as well. Opening up the DRS for the second time then on this qualifying lap with his long run down to turn 3. Watch the braking markers on the right hand side. The corner just jumps up at you. You don't really see it until too late. And through 3 and now turn 4, keep away from the entrance curb because it's quite highly banked and the car will understeer and pitch off of that. Over to the right hand side for turns 5, the left hander, and then the tightening turn 6 as well. Again, try and stay away from the entrance curb, it's very high, it will unsettle the curb. Quick burst up to turn 7. Nice and slow through here, first or second gear for these guys. It looks like second gear for the Ferrari, and then through 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, the infamous castle section. Look how narrow it is. It's so easy to put the car in the wall and ruin your qualifying and the race. Out of it then, and now through the double flat out left-handers of 13 and 14. Again, if you're running a very low wing through here, and even in difficult conditions as well, you may end up getting a little bit of oversteer through there. And then through turn 15 at the top of the hill, again a very high curve, stay away from that. You don't want to put the car into the outside wall. Then turn 16, the last real true test for these drivers. Run the car as wide as you can, straighten it up through the kink of 17, and then through 18 the left hander and 19 the right hander. Keep your foot planted to the floor through the little kink on the right hand side of turn 20, and then wait for the DRS. You can see it, we're coming, and we are there, finger on the button, opening up the DRS. And Mark SP now can do nothing but just push towards the line. 211 mile an hour sets the first lap time of a 1:39.002. So we've got IRT Louis will come off board with the Ferrari driver. We've got Jay behind who's on an out lap, who's going to be getting a very nice toe. In fact, Louis hit the wall. He's got no front wing, and somehow he still feels in it. No, he is coming into the pit. So Louis hit the wall somewhere, and he's damaged his front wing, which has already put a bit of a blotch on his record here in qualifying. He will lose a bit of time here, and the pressure is now on the McLaren driver to get back out there and set a lap time. Matt FNG now goes into provisional pole with a 37.824. Kian up into second place at 38.6, and Blizzard in the Red Bull into P3 with a 38.9. We'll try and find someone else, since the Samstar is currently negotiating turn 15. on the run down to 16 as well. And we'll see what the sector time is like. 19.334 for his first run, as VSR Onyx sets the 5th fastest lap time of 39.509 on the hard tyres. Jump aboard with the Renault drivers. The highest speed we've seen so far is from Mark SP 211. And now with the DRS for Samster in the Renault. Can he get above that? I believe he will. Owen retires from the session, but we knew he had a qualifying ban. So it's 2:13 then from Samster as he comes across the line. A 1:43, but he's obviously invalidated because it hasn't come up, but he would have been quite slow compared to everyone else. Brett Steben in the Mercedes tonight. So we've got a few drivers in different cars. I'm not too sure if there's been team changes or what, but Brettster is in the Mercedes. And he's currently sitting on, as we come into round 4, on -4 points. Just want to point out, Brettster is on -4 points. He picked up a 5-point ban at the even before the start of the season by doing donuts in the last couple of laps at the bus stop chicane in the pre-season race at Belgium. And the stewards took a dim view on that, which basically forced out a yellow flag in one of the key overtaking opportunities and slapped him with a -5 point penalty, which he's still inside of. So Brettster will need a good performance here tonight to get himself back into at least 0. So Matt Tibos said on a flying lap at the moment. Louis and Midnight, and someone's coming. AMK Future, how many points are you on? Well, I don't know who AMK Future is, so if you want to tell me what your PSN name is, I can probably have a quick look and let you know how many points you're sitting on. So Marquez is out on circuit at the moment on the hard tyres. Chapelale's on an outlap. Wayne and LR Nick as well. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. So is that someone that's had an incident somewhere on circuit? Not too sure. Blizzard slowly coming back into the pits, as is Onyx as well. And the future has come back in saying it's Mark, so I assume it will be Mark SP. We've got a very slow Matt Tibos. So if I have a very, very quick look for you, Mark, to see exactly how many points you are on, my friend, you are on 18. 1-8. Mark SP in the Ferrari sitting on 18 points. So Matt Tibos then was just keeping out of the way. And he's got the second Alfa Romeo of LR Nick, who is on a flying lap here, I think, or is LR Nick going into the pits? If he's not, he's going to get the biggest tow in the world. He was getting a big tow there, so he got a tow from his teammate and ahead as well, and that has promoted, and you can see the Alfa Romeo into provisional pole on a 37.422. That's how powerful the DRS can be around here. If you are following someone nice and closely, you can gain so much time. So Matt back in the pits, Kian out again on the second run. Blizzard still in the pits, Mark SP out for a second run as well. And we've got the Mercedes drivers there, I think, queuing up. I think it was coming into pits. RT Louis then, who damaged his front wing, completely tore off his front wing on his first run. He's now back out there. We're almost halfway through this qualifying session. And Louis yet to set a lap time. VRT Midnight still in the pits. Samster back in as well. He did do one lap, but it was invalidated. Paris and Jay in the Williams and Ferrari now out on circuit for hour laps. And Chapelale currently negotiating through sector 1, 34.496. We've got a car to the right hand side. LR Nick in the Alfa Romeo having gone quickest, just politely staying out of the way. We've got yellow flag in sector 2. I haven't seen anyone cream it into the castle section wall just yet, but I'm sure it will happen. Oh, well, there was a nice little love tap there from Chapelale on the front right. Lucky to get away. I don't think with any visible front wing damage. He's still pounding around still, so I think he has managed to get away with it. So Chapelale event yet to set a lap time. Only 8 of the 17 drivers have. Of course, Owen is retired from the session, having a qualifying ban, so he's decided to just spectate like myself. And this is going to be a slow burn, I think, in qualifying. As Louis now does set his first lap time of 38.537, which puts him into P3 ahead of his teammate Kian. So the McLaren drivers looking at row 2 at the moment with P3 and P4. But here comes VRT Chapelale. Look at his top speed as well, see what all that's about. 212, possibly 213 as it comes across the line, and he's all the way up into P3 with a 37.954, also on those soft tyres. So Louis is the quickest runner that's not on the soft tyres. He's managed to do his lap time of 38.5 on the hards. Marquez is 3/10 off that, also on the hard tyres. So we'll try and find someone else that's on the quick lap. I think Paris he's just started his lap, to be honest. No one else is on a lap. VRT Midnight and Samster is still on our laps. Jay starting his first proper flying lap now, also on the soft tyres. So I think it'll be a mix of strategies in qualifying. We'll have a clearer picture once the race gets going. As we jump on board with the Ferrari driver, let's see how he handles turn 3 and turn 4. He can catch the drivers out. For some unknown reason, he's deciding to not go into 8th gear, almost maxing out the revs in 7th. Very late change from 4th all the way down to 3rd and then 2nd as well. So some unusual gearing then from the Ferrari driver. Another yellow flag in Sector 2. So we'll move away, we'll come back to Paris. He's still negotiating Sector 2. Samsa has just started his flying lap. We've got a lot of other drivers out there on the circuit at the moment as well. VSR Onyx is 100th of a second up in Sector 1. And Mark SP apparently is 1.3 seconds up in Sector 2. So if he has managed to do that, he's on for a stonkingly quick lap time here. So we'll jump on board with a Ferrari driver, because if this is a legit lap time, this is going to be incredibly close to the front. Let's have a look at it. The Ferrari driver indeed does put it on the front row of the grid with a 37.572. So a great lap there by the Ferrari driver. And the McLaren guys were 3rd and 4th a minute ago. They're now down to 5th and 6th. Matt FNG coming up to complete his lap as well, to see if he can improve from a 37.824. So he comes up to the line. I think he's going to be just short of it. No, he managed to do it, 37.667. So he remains in 3rd place, but he has found a couple of extra temps. Nisar Marquez has backed out of this lap. Very much so. Just moving over to the right hand side. Is he allowing someone through? Is he making contact with the wall? I think Marquez is going to come back into the pits. Indeed he is. So as Blizzard in all this, then he is completing his out lap, I feel, and he'll be starting a flying lap. VSR Onyx is 3 temps up, or was 3 temps up. So VRT Midnight, he's halfway around the lap. Paris has come back into the pits, so he's abandoned. Samster is coming up to the line then. This should be his first lap completed. A 37.4 needs to be the quickest, and it's a 37.5. So both of the Renault drivers looking very comfortable here and on the pace early on. Samster now onto the front row of the grid with a 37.5, and his teammate is only a 10th and a half off as well. So the Renault guys could be looking at some good points here tonight. Most of the other drivers are still in the pits. Onyx is abandoning his lap. He's 2 seconds down. So VRT Midnight then, he's yet to set his first lap time. Still 11 of the 17 drivers, well 16 if you take Owen out of it, have set lap times here. So what can VRT Midnight do? And it's provisional pole. I wasn't expecting that from the Racing Point driver. What a lap that would have been. 1:37.311, and these lap times continue to tumble away. And the Racing Point at the moment at the head of the field. He'll be very happy with that. We've got VSR Wayne on the fast lap as well. That's pretty much it, because Onyx is coming back into the pits. Matt FNG, Samstar, Elon Nick's back out there again, I think. So where's Matt FNG and all this? He's coming back into the pits. Samstar, we know, is on an in-lap. Elon Nick, I feel, is possibly on a... he might be on a fast lap, because he's only 600ths down, and he's got his teammate Matt behind him as well. So... to be honest, you wanted Matt sort of in, well, this could work if the Alfa Romeo drivers are going to try something here. So just under 5 minutes left of the session. VSR Wayne then. We'll come back to the Mercedes driver. He's desperate to set a lap time. He needs at least a banker lap before he goes again. So coming up now through the kink of 20. Opening up the DRS. Running it up to the line. I don't think this is going to be provisional pole. It's going to be in the 38s, I think. A 38.137. It's good enough for 7th at least. But Wayne will definitely be back in the pits. And he's on the medium tyres as well. So 8 tenths off Midnight on the medium tyres isn't too bad, to be honest. And he's managed to get ahead of Louis by exactly 4 tenths, who's now out again on a second set of medium tyres. So it's quite clear what Louis' strategy is going to be in qualifying. So we've got Matt Ross, STV Paris and Jay down in 14th, 16th and 17th. They've yet to post their first competitive lap time. VRT Midnight coming back into the pits. LR Nick is starting his first flying lap. Wayne, we know, is on an in-lap. Louis just started his second run. So we'll change over to best lap times at the moment. You can see fitted. Some drivers now making a change onto the mediums. And Louis now negotiating turns 5 and 6, now down into turn 7. Who's out ahead of him? That's a slow Ferrari of Jay, who's still warming up for his run. And Samster comes into the chat, says completely dry for both qualifying and the race. Thank you very much. I'd like to know what the weather's going on. Unfortunately, I can't tell. I don't have the weather screen that all these drivers get at the beginning of qualifying, so I kind of have to call it how I see it. So it's always nice if someone does come in and say, right, this is the weather, so there's no surprises. So completely dry for both qualifying and the race. That'll be music to most of these drivers' ears. As Louis comes down to complete sector 2. and he's 8 tenths up on his previous best, which would be good enough to put him, I think, around about the 3rd row of the grid. But if he can find a couple of attempts with him as well, he may have a good chance of getting onto the front row of the grid, which would be a great result for the driver on the medium tyres. Bouncing back after the disappointment of picking up that time penalty last week at China, won the race on track, pushed down to 3rd after the race. And here comes Louis then. Can he get onto the front row of the grid? He can't. It's only good enough for 5th place. But still a very, very good lap. Just 3 and a bit tenths off of Midnight's time. And Louis, of course, is on the medium. And that'll be his session over. He won't have enough time to get back and come out again. So anyone pretty much completing a qualifying lap now, we can pretty much forget about. They won't be able to go again. And our Nick then coming through. He's saving ERS. He might have backed out as well. If he's going for another run on these soft tyres, he certainly hasn't got enough ERS. Does he even bother to open up the DRS? He does. So we'll have to keep an eye on what Nick. No, in fact, he's coming into the pits. That will be his session over and done with. Matt Tibos, his teammate, has just moved up onto the front row of the grid. Jay still in sector 1. S2V Paris is in sector 2, coming into sector 3. And this is an outlap for him. He's not pushing. You can see EOS down to 0. So we've got more drivers then coming out onto the circuit. A few we know have finished for the session. So S2V Paris, unless he ducks into the pit lane, will be going. It's opening of DRS, and I'm sure that ERS mode will be pushed back up. No, he's coming into the pits then, so Paris is not going to do it. He's racing into the pits. He's not going to have enough time to get out there. So Paris then is not going to be setting a lap time in this qualifying session and be joined on the back row of the grid by Owen unless Jay fails to set a lap time. So we'll stay on board with Jay. Pretty much anyone crossing the line now to finish their lap or coming into the pits is not going to have enough time to get round. And in fact, if there's anyone in the pits that fancy coming out again, they're not going to have enough time to get round. So LR Nick, we know his session's over. Same for Louis. Paris as well down in 16th. What's Jay going to do? He's got to complete this lap to get some sort of a lap time. He's certainly pushing. He's opening DRS. ERS mode number 4 to try and save a little bit. Over to the left-hand side for the clearest run. And out of absolutely nowhere, the Ferrari driver on a 37.141 takes provisional pole. He's spent the entire session at the bottom of the field struggling to put a lap time in. And then when it matters so much, he's gone out there and put it on provisional pole. So Midnight's got to try and get this position back if he can. Tibos is done with the session. He is certainly done with the session. Nick staying in the pits. Samster and Mark SP back out on circuit as well. Louis, we know he's finished for the day. And he's coming back into the pits. Matt is currently in sector 1. Or has he just finished his lap? I'm not too sure. Marquez is just starting his as well. Chapelele coming across the line. Louis retires. We knew that was going to happen. So VRT Chapelele's just finished his session and moved up into 2nd place. So we got 2 Ferraris, 2 Alfa Romeos and 2 Racing Points in the top 7 positions. So it could be a team game going on here in the race as well. But Javen, that's a surprise to see him on provisional pole. Chapelele up into 2nd place as well. Midnight's just coming across the line. Just does it there with 2 seconds left to go. LR Nick, Brett Stutt and STV Paris, their sessions are over. Now it's up to me to try and find the driver closest to the line. So there's Kian, sector 2, Blizzard as well. Onyx, I think might be the first possibly, because all of these guys. Jay, we know, is finished for the session. Chapelele is finished for the session. Midnight is still pushing, I think. Matt Tibos is he's done with the session as well. Oh, and there's a collision there between Blizzard and Mark SP in all of this, and Blizzard picks up a 5-second grid penalty as well. So it's all kicking off here towards the end of qualifying. We'll come back to Onyx because Blizzard there has parked the car. Onyx, he's coming up to finish his lap. Let's see what he can do running up to the line then. Coming down in 14th place, not what the Williams driver will want. Is he going to improve? He has to improve, really. He doesn't. He stays in 14th place. So both the Williams drivers really struggling here. Jay's session is over. Same for Chapelele. Midnight still pushing round. So Samson, let's have a look at this. He's 800ths up. Currently down in P6. Mark SP we know has abandoned. A few others have as well. So it's going to be a slow end to this qualifying. Kian has finished. He can do no better than 12th for McLaren. We'll jump on board with the Renault driver of Samster. He needs to find a couple of attempts and he'll move right up into P3. Running up to the line now. DRS open. Can he improve from 6th? He can't. He remains in 6th place. Mark SP we know has finished. We'll come back to VRT Midnight then. Is that his teammate ahead? It is. So Chapelele is giving his teammate a wonderful tow here down to the main straight. Look at this. Is Midnight going to take provisional pole? He doesn't. He fails to improve. He didn't do enough in the early part of the lap to gain an advantage following his teammate. And we've got Mark SP has finished. VSR Wayne coming up to the line, but he's done with. And I think that is qualifying over and done with then. So Javen a surprise for me at least, maybe not to him, has taken pole position here, and he's got both the racing points of Chaparral and Midnight very close behind in second and third. But look at the further down at the grid, Blizzard 13th, and he has a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Mark SP. Onyx in 14th, and Paris down in 17th as well. Some heavy hitters towards the back of the field here in Azerbaijan. So without being completely unfair to some of these drivers, but it looks like a slightly upside down grid. You've got Jay there on pole position, both the racing points of Chaparral and Midnight in P2 and P3, and both the Alfa Romeos of Matt Tibos and LR Nick in 4th and 5th. Samster P6 in the leading Renault ahead of Mark SP in 7th for Ferrari. Then the leading medium runner ILRT Louis in 8th place. Good job by him, to be honest. Matt F&G in the second Renault in 9th, and VSR Marquez is in 10th place also on the mediums. And it's VSR Wayne, Kian, Blizzard with the 5-place grid penalty, Onyx, Brettster, Owen White who had a qualifying ban, and Paris in 17th who failed to set a lap time. I'm going to take a very short break here. I'll be back with you guys during the formation lap. So we go then. The Ferrari of Jay leads the field round on the formation lap here at Baku. 26 laps of, well, God knows what's going to happen. Is everyone going to keep it clean? Are we going to get 17 finishes? Who am I kidding? We're not going to get 17 finishes. All I want is a clean race at the front at least, and maybe a few surprise drivers in the top 5 as well. But looking at this grid, I think half the job is already done with surprises. Jay on pole position, Chaparral Midnight 2nd and 3rd, Tibos, LR Nick 4th and 5th. And you look at the heavy hitters, Louis is the highest one really, starting in 8th place, but he is on the medium tyres, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Marquez is in 10th, he's also on the medium tyres. And we've got VSR Wayne in 11th, Onyx in 13th, Paris in 16th, and Blizzard back in 17th as well. So it's almost a bit of an upside down grid here, to be honest with you. So bring up the tyre graph then. As per F1 rules, if you set the tyres you run when you set your quickest lap in qualifying, and if you remain inside the top 10, those tyres you have to start the race on. So all of those inside the top 10 are using a slightly used set, apart from Louis and Marquez's in P8 and P10, all on the soft runners. Everyone else, apart from Kian, outside the top 10, going long into this race on the hard tyres. Kian starting on the mid-range medium yellow-walled tyres. So Jay leads the field round through the remainder of Sector 2 down into Sector 3, and both the racing points will be looking for a good haul of points for themselves and the team. Same for both the Alfa Romeos and the Renaults as well. We know that the Renault drivers link up during the races as well to help each other with strategy and position on track and lap times, etc, etc. So the Renault drivers will be working well together, and I'm sure that the likes of Wayne and Onyx and Paris Blizzard will be moving up through the field at some point as well. It'll be a slow burn, I think, once all the incidents happen at the first couple of laps, and then I think tyre strategy will play a large part of it as well. We've got some drivers really hurtling up towards the grid as well, because Jay's backed off, so a few drivers have got past him, as Jay is really coming up slow towards the grid as well. There's a few cars ghosting through. That's okay, really. You know, we don't really want drivers overtaking each other on the grid, but it's fine. You know, at this point the cars sort of ghost and they're AI controlled up to their grid hatchings. So we've got a lovely camera angle here then. Jay on the left, Shapalele on the right. Can they keep it clean in the first couple of corners? It will be crucial. Don't be surprised if bits of carbon fibre fly around the circuit. But 26 laps here for these guys. Concentration levels have got to be high. One small mistake and your race could be over. And here we go then, season 14 in the Prestige tier at round 4 at the Baku city circuit in Azerbaijan. What excitement awaits for the next 40 odd minutes. We've got 5 lights. And the lights go out and away they go now. It looks like a good start by both of the front two as well. We've got an Alfa Romeo coming up into P3. That's Matt Tibos, and contact between the top two as well. And Shapalele's just managed to keep it at the wall, but he's going to get surrounded up by everyone else around him. And Matt in the Alfa Romeo up into P2. We've got Louis and Samster fighting very aggressively into turn 2 as well. But it looks like they've pretty much made it all through relatively unscathed. We've got Shapalele and Samster fighting out over P4 and P5. We'll come back up to the leaders. Jay has managed to keep it then. Matt up into second place, Shapalele in third. Oh, and that's Midnight who's creamed it into the wall in the exit of turn 3 with a heavily damaged front wing as well. He's got LR Nick and Marquez's and Matt fighting all around him, and Midnight's going to be understeering everyone. There's contact further back between Kian and Owen Wyatt, I feel, and that's given a position to a couple of his other drivers as well as the midfield runners start to really fall over themselves. And look at this, we've got Kian and Brettster fighting it out over 5th and 6th position. Mark Espy a long way back, so he's had an instant somewhere, but Jay leads coming into the castle section ahead of Matt Tibos, Shapalele, Samster. We've got yellow flag somewhere further back as well. That's Owen Wyatt and Brettster. Yeah, look at that. Something's happened back here. Owen's already out of the race, and Brettster has got a heavily damaged front wing in the castle, even before the castle section. So I think those two have tripped over each other. And so Jay still leads in. Owen then an early casualty. He said in the grid walk he just wanted to get to the end, stay out of trouble at the start and pick up some useful points. And he did joke before the lobby walk that he may very well be the first retirement, and unfortunately that's exactly what he has done. But Jay then will complete lap 1 holding on to the lead of this race. Matt with a great start up into second place, Shapalele in third, Samster up into 4th, and Louis also up into 5th place. These 5 are forming a bit of a breakaway because Matt further back in 6th was a couple of seconds back, and Marquez's and LR Nick are exchanging positions for P7 and P8. We've got VRT Midnight, he's coming into the pits, which is to be expected. It's going to promote a whole host of cars as well. And we've got LR Nick in the pits fixing accident damage. Both the Williams are hounding around VSR Wayne 8th, 9th and 10th. So the big boys towards the back of the field in qualifying have already moved up. Even Blizzard is up into P12. LR Nick, Midnight and Espy all into the pits, as is Brettster as well. So they're all coming off strategy to fix damage. So Louis then up into 5th place, Marquez is up into 7th, Onyx, Wayne and Paris all inside the top 10, and Blizzard's made 5 positions up into 12th as well. Now can these guys start to hunt down the soft runners and slowly start to pick them off as well? We've got Samster then keeping a watchful eye on this battle for second between Matt and Shapalele, who's half looking at a move into turn 7, which isn't really an overtaking opportunity. Now through the very tricky castle section. One small mistake through here, we'll see your race potentially over in an instant. And Samster are taking a lot of the inside curve, but these guys, the top 5 very close together. Matt is falling back, but he's got a good gap to Marquez's and Onyx behind as well. So Louis is in a good position here to just keep watch of these guys on the soft tyres. Oh, and Samster bounces across the curb at the top of the hill in 15 and may have picked up a little bit of front wing damage here. We'll have to cut off camera to have a look. He has. He's knocked the front end plate off that front right, so he's going to be understeering through here a little bit. It shouldn't hurt him too much around this section unless he's got significant damage on that front right. But Louis will be thinking of getting into the slipstream and getting a nice tow as well, and maybe looking to slingshot past into P4 because he wants to try and keep pace with his guys. Shapalele close to Tibos, and here comes Louis then. Side by side, neck and neck into turn 1. Up ahead, Shapalele failed to get a move done on Tibos, and Sam's going to hang this around the outside. A little bit of contact between the two of them. We'll jump on board as Red Bull driver. There'll be a flash of orange on the left hand side. Does he give the space to Louis? He does. Oh, it's contact though. There's contact, and Louis being half spun by Samster, and Louis has dropped back now behind the second Renault as well. And he might come under attack from Marquez is here, but he's too far back then. Oh, we've got to change up front. There's Shapalele up the inside into turn 3. So the Racing Point up into second place. Wayne is getting past Kian. Onyx is making an early pit stop as well, so I can only assume he's having a front wing change. He's only completed 2 laps on those medium tyres. This isn't a strategy call. He's obviously got damage, and he's decided to abandon that front wing early enough. So he'll drop probably towards the back of the field. So we've got one casualty early on. That's Owen Wyatt. And a few other drivers have had to make early pit stops here, 5 of them in fact. But Jay won't mind. He'll carry on in the lead of this race with a 1.2 second gap over Shapalele in second. Matt 2 had a great start. Now dropped back into third place. Samster is a second and a half back in fourth, and Matt is obviously struggling here early on to keep pace with his own teammate, even though they are on similar tyres and probably similar strategy as well. Louis then half spun by Samster as he takes a very unusual line there at the top of the hill. Probably picks up a penalty warning for it. And Louis will want a good exit through here. Same for Matt as well, but I feel that Matt is going to be coming under attack sooner rather than later from the McLaren driver. On board through 18 and 19, and then the right hand kink of 20. And I think Louis is going to pull out early enough here. Matt does give him the space. We'll jump on board with Marquez in the Red Bull. Louis is already through, and Matt is going to probably duck back behind him. DRS of course now enabled, coming into lap 4. It's already been enabled for this lap. We've got Blizzard and Kian swapping positions as well. And that's a very late call by Blizzard in the pits. He's got to manage to just about slow that down. So I assume these two have front wing damage as well, because it's an unusual call for them to come into the pits early on. Is Blizzard having a front wing change? He's not having a front wing change. Okay, Kian, is he having a front wing change? He is. So Blizzard didn't have a front wing change yet. Bretster has retired as well. I believe he's crashed somewhere because he's got a yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3. So Blizzard's made a pit stop and not changed his front wing. I don't know if he's got damage on it or not. But if he hasn't got damage, that's a very, very unusual call. And unless a safety car comes out now, then he'll be absolutely laughing. Still yellow flags in Sector 3, but the drivers are still running around at racing speed. So no sign of a safety car or a virtual safety car. Jay still leads in lap 4 of 26. Shapalele second. Matt keeping him honest in P3. Samster in fourth. We'll have Louis battling him for the second time in this race, and he is dragging Matt and Marquez's along with him as well. So with the DRS now enabled, these guys can start to keep a little bit closer together. Paris on the hard tyres up into P8 ahead of Wayne, and Midnight down in 10th. He's already made a pit stop. So the top 9 have not made a pit stop. Everyone else has to either come off strategy or fix damage on the front wing. So Midnight in P10, Blizzard in P11. He doesn't have front wing damage, I don't think, on the front of that Red Bull. He doesn't, no. So he pitted at the end of the previous lap just to change tyres. So it could be a different strategy call here for the Red Bull driver. We've got Wayne and Paris exchanging positions. That was even before the DRS point. So obviously they're making a change early. And Louis coming into the pits then. So Louis is in at the end of lap 4 on those medium tyres. Is he having a front wing change as well? Let's have a look. He is. So Louis clipped the wall somewhere, and he's coming off strategy, going onto the hard tyres. We've got Paris coming in as well. A lot of these drivers are making very early pit stops here. Is he having a front wing change? He is as well. So like I said, this is one of those circuits on the calendar where if you survive and keep it clean, as Onyx sets a new fastest lap, then you're on course for a very, very good result. And that's pretty much what most of the guys at the front of the field have done. It's everyone from about P8 downwards, or qualified in P8 downwards, have really struggled to keep it clean. You can see that everyone from 8th down have made at least one pit stop to fix accident damage or come off strategy for whatever reason. But Jay still leads, coming through the castle section. Shapalele to Boss, keeping him honest. And then Samster again, slowly falling back. Marquez is now up into P5, ahead of Matt in 6th, VSR Wayne in 7th, and then that's it, the top 7 then really, still on the tyres they started on, most of them obviously qualified inside the top 10. So have a look then at the position changes, the big winners and losers. Well, the biggest winner out of that is Blizzard. Even though he's already been in the pits, he's gained 7 positions, started in 17th after a 5-place grid penalty for contact with the Ferrari of Mark SP. He's already up into 10th place. Marquez has gained 5 positions. VSR Wayne has gained 4, 3 each for both Matt FNG and Paris. And the biggest losers, well, LR Nix lost 7 positions, same for Mark SP, and Midnight all the way down from 3rd into 6th. We've got Jay coming into the pits then. So this is at the end of lap 5 or 6. He's not having a front wing change, so he's making a change from the softs onto the hard tyres. Samster and Matt are in the pits. Says, oh, this has not worked out well. These two communicate, but Matt's going to be massively held up here, and Onyx is retired, I think. We'll jump on board with Mark SP. I'm expecting to see a Williams in the wall. Yeah, there he is. Onyx has absolutely obliterated that Williams car in the turn 18-19 sequence. So we've got pit stops going on. We've got drivers crashing as well. And poor old Matt FNG is being held up in the pits there. You can see how much time he's losing. He may very well fall to the back of the field. Yellow flags out in Sector 3. So it's just the top 4 then that have yet to make pit stop. Shapalele now takes hold of this race race lead, I should say. Matt Tibos in second place and Marquez in third on the medium tyres. Is looking like a strong candidate for the race win here. He's one of the few that's actually managed to keep it clean, relatively clean, I think. Oh, he hasn't, because he's damaged the front left. He's got no end plate on that front wing, so he's going to be a little bit slower than normal round here. A little bit of understeer as well in some of the slower corners. So even Marquez is then, who's looked like he's kept it relatively clean, he's failed to do so. VSR Wayne in P4, a little bit of debris on the right hand side there, which I'm not surprised to see, to be honest. So much has happened already. Jay out in P5 then onto the hard tyres. We'll be looking to take these to the end. Louis 8 seconds back, also recently making a change onto the hard tyres. So do Shapalele and Tibos take this opportunity to pit? Shapalele is definitely coming in, and I think Tibos will do the same as well. So that's going to hand the lead to Marquez's. Blizzard is off the circuit, I think, somewhere. What's happened here? He's lost it at the top of the hill in turn 15, and he's ripped that front wing off as well. So Blizzard is going to be making a second pit stop in the space of 3 laps, because that front wing is massively damaged. So Tibos and Shapalele make a pit stop now onto the hard tyres. Jay retakes that position as a Blizzard has a slow tour back to the pit. So Marquez is now in the lead as ILRT Louis sets the new fastest lap. And the fastest lap rule here, a bit different in one hub racing. If you set the fastest lap and finish inside the top 10, you gain an extra championship point. And then from everyone from 11th down, in that little bracket, second bracket I like to call it, if you set the fastest lap in that bracket, you also gain an extra championship point. So you could be 12th or 13th for a few laps left to run, 2 laps down after crashing into the wall 7,200 times. But still keep going, because if you set the fastest lap in that bracket, you still get an extra championship point. Blizzard in the pits for a second time. Paris managing to get past LR Nick for P9. So this race will continue to change and evolve. We're down to 14 of the 17 that started. Still not even 1/3 distance here, as Marquez now holds on to this lead. He'll be looking to try and remain as consistent, as clean as possible, but he already has damage on that front wing. He's 3.6 seconds ahead of VSR Wayne. It's obviously yet to make his first pit stop either. In fact, these two, the guys running 1 and 2, are the only two that have yet to make a pit stop here. Jay was in a couple of laps ago, same for Shapalele and Tibos as well. So the true order at the moment is Jay leading this race, Shapalele's racing point in P2, Matt Tibos in P3. But do keep an eye on both Marquez's and Wayne, because they'll be making a change onto a different set of compound tyres at some point, and then be a lot quicker than these guys as well. Marquez's might be going very, very long into this race if he can, making a change onto the sauce, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to have to make an early change onto the hards. Wayne, though, if he's managed to keep it relatively clean and look after those tyres, even with a lock up on the front left there, he might be able to make the change from the hards onto the softs. Blizzard then all the way down in 14th has made his second pit stop onto the soft tyres. We'll have a look, see if anyone else has made 2 pit stops. No, it's just Blizzard. So Marquez's leads here, lap 8 of 26. VSR Wayne in second place, and then Jay, Shapalele and Matt Tibos complete the top 5. So on board of the Alfa Romeo of LR Nick, giving chase to both STV Paris and Samster ahead, and Jay in third position has picked up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits one too many times, and I think Samster's being in the wall again, possibly. We'll have a look at that front wing coming down into turn 16. No, it looks okay. Same for Paris and Nick as well, as Marquez continues, I should say, to extend the gap over Wayne. A couple of attempts here and there, and the gap between Wayne and Jay is sort of stabilising as well, around that 6-second mark. So Marquez and Wayne might be a factor towards the end of this race. Still a long, long way to go. Potential for a virtual safety car or a safety car. Potential as well for other drivers making mistakes. As we've got Paris and Samster. Oh, very, very close here. You don't want to be making contact at almost 200 mile an hour coming into the braking zone. And Paris manages to make the move stick. And LR Nick might fancy a bite out of the Renault as well. But I think Sam still will have the DRS. He does indeed. So will Nick. So I don't think Nick will be able to complete the move down into turn 3. Samster is too far back to try to repass Paris for that P8. Mark SP still running in 11th ahead of Kian, who just clips the outside wall. Matt F&G in 13th. He'll be disappointed of how his race is going so far. Not so much as Blizzard, who sets a new fastest lap, 1 minute 40.638 on those very, very grippy, quick, soft tyres. So Marquez is in lap 9 of 26. Remember, he has damage on that front wing. You can see the front left is missing. And have a look at VSR Wayne's front wing and all of this. It seems okay. Jay, he seems okay as well, but we know he's got a 3-second time penalty. Chapelletti's front wing is fine. Matt Tibos, his front wing is okay as well. Same for Louis. So the top 6 then, apart from Marquez's, have got a clean front wing, at least from what I can see visually. And Louis will be wanting to make light work of the Alfa Romeo ahead, because this is a battle for true position, both of them on a similar strategy. Although Louis did pit a few laps early coming off of those medium tyres, which is a surprise. But he obviously had damage and had to change the front wing. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. Scan through. It's Blizzard again. Blizzard has been in the wars yet again, this time in the castle section. And you can see there, no front wing on that Red Bull. I feel retirement may very well be imminent as LR Nick and Samster finally do exchange positions. That Alfa Romeo driver has been looking very feisty behind Samster for the last lap or two. Finally makes the move stick coming down into turn 1. But Sam might come back at him here with a DRS. Coming into turn 3, but it was a good exit by the Alfa Romeo driver ahead. And the gap is still continuing to rise as well. So Samster will have to hold on to that P10 for now. Very close under braking as well. Nick just runs a little deep there over the curb. No harm, no foul. Gets away with no damage. And Samster taking a more of a tighter line through these corners. Might fancy a switch back here into 5 and 6. Decides against it. Oh, LR Nick very wide as well. That car is pretty much all over the place. Only completed 8 laps on the hard tyres as well, so tyre wear isn't going to be an issue. And here comes Samster. This would be a brave move up the inside into turn 7. And then LR Nick would have been very watchful in his rearview mirrors. Now through the castle section as well, trying to put the pressure on, and the pressure's worked. LR Nick has hit the wall quite hard as well, and he would have had severe damage onto that front wing. Yeah, the front right is really damaged, and he's run wide again, and there's going to be more damage. And LR Nick, I think, to be honest, I'll call it how I see it, I think that's an intentional crash into the wall. There's no way he was going to crash at that speed, and he just pitched the car towards the right very aggressively and put it into the wall. And well, that's LR Nick's fault, to be honest with you. Sam put a great amount of pressure on him for the preceding corners, and I thought maybe a mistake might be imminent. It was. LR Nick hit the wall in the castle section and then continued to bounce off of the Armco, and I think he has put it into the wall. Blizzard, meanwhile, has carried on. He should have pitted at the end of the previous lap to come in and fix that front wing, but he hasn't for whatever reason. So VSR Wayne now takes the lead of this race, as VSR Marquez, as you can see there, now into the pits. He's probably having a front wing change as well. He was back out on a set of hard tyres. So starting on the mediums, now onto the hards. His true race position will be in P8 because he was only, I think, 3 seconds ahead of VSR Wayne. And Marquez has lost a lot of time with a front wing change as well. So now the battle is on for Marquez as he gives a love tap to the rear of Paris's Williams. Can he... oh, and Blizzard finally has retired somewhere in sector 3. So yeah, the pressure's now on Marquez's to see if he can start to climb up the order, as Matt in 5th place picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Yeah, the flags still out in sector 3. Oh, and Marquez's clips the castle section. Let's have a look. Any damage? I think he's managed to just get away with it, but that would have been a scary wake-up call there for the Red Bull driver. He's in prime position here for a very strong result. Possibly the win here, if he manages to keep it clean. So we'll scroll back up the order then. Midnight in P6, Matt Tibos in 5th. We know he's got a time penalty. Louis now up into 4th place. And we've got Chapelet. Oh, and what's happening here? We've got, oh, Marquez's is out of the race. What's happened to Marquez's? We'll jump on board with Mark SP. This will give us, that's a very strange place to see that car ending up. And Marquez's, for some unknown reason, has crashed, I think, possibly on the exit of 15, and that car has run down the hill, but that's a very, very strange place to see a car in the wall. It's even closer to 16 rather than 15. Jay and Midnight are into the pits, and Marquez leaves the session in disgust. Both the Red Bull drivers have retired within the last lap, and now Wayne and Louis are in prime position to take down this race win. Midnight and Jay are in the pits again for the second time. Midnight not having a front wing change. Jay, I don't know, did he have a front wing change or not? They're both coming out the pits. This race continues to develop and evolve as it goes on. It's so hard. Kian is out of the race as well. What's happened to Kian somewhere in, I think, in Sector 2 or Sector 3, not too sure. And all of a sudden, just like that, we're down to 10 runners. And this has got to be a wake-up call for these guys. First of all, stop crashing, please. I want to see drivers finish this race. And secondly, if you do finish this race, you are guaranteed a championship point. So Wayne, then, is now on course to potentially pick up a strong result. Louis is on course to pick up the race win as it stands. Chapalele and Matt Tivos are looking at a P2, P3. Paris has completed 7 laps on those mediums. He will definitely have to pit again. So Samster and Mark SP in all of this are going to be gaining positions. Jay now on a fresh set of mediums. He'll look to take these 14 laps if he can. And we've got VRT Midnight in P9 and Matt a long way back in P10, but he's safe in the knowledge all he's got to do now is just keep going, and he will finish this race. We're not even a half distance, and we've lost 7 of the 17 drivers that have started, and we're in danger here of having, or at this rate, having no finishes by the looks of it. So Wayne continues on those hard tyres that he's been on since the start of this race. RT Louis in P2, Chapalele in P3. We'll have a look at the stops again. So both Jay and VRT Midnight indeed have made their second pit stop, and they're on a fresh set of mediums and hards, which they'll hopefully be able to take to the end, although question marks will remain over Jay. He should be able to, 14 laps, although he'll be struggling a bit towards the end, obviously with tyre life. Paris will definitely be in before the end of this race. There's absolutely no way he can do 21 laps on a set of mediums around here. So we await really when Wayne makes his pit stop, probably onto the medium tyres, as Kian leaves the session. Another retirement from a couple of laps ago. And this is a good opportunity for some of these guys lower down the championship to pick up some good points here. Marquez is out of the race as well, and he is our championship leader, so he's in danger of losing this championship lead. VSR Wayne is only 7 points behind. VSR Onyx is out of the race. Louis is still carrying on, and he's 18 points behind Marquez's, and Louis, I think, is now in pole position really to take down the race win and blizzard out of the race as well. So Wayne and Louis then can theoretically move into P1 and P2, or P2 and P1 in the Drivers' Championship, because everyone else that they're sort of fighting with already out of this race. We are now at half distance. It's taken so long to get there, and so much has happened. And Wayne then, I don't think he'll be pitting at the end of his lap, running in the middle of a circuit. I think he'll go as long as he possibly can before he starts losing either tyre life or lap time. And he's still slowly pulling away from Louis behind. There's no battles out on the circuit at the moment, and this is the problem that I sometimes do struggle with. When there's so few runners still going, it's difficult to really find any sort of battles out there. The closest one is between Jay and Mark, the Ferrari teammates. Mark going long on these hard tyres, made a pit stop in the first few laps to fix accident damage. He might be able to get to the end on his hard tyres, but he might just play safe and pit for either set of mediums or softs at some point just to get to the end to pick up points. But Jay then, he's been in the pits twice now. Our pole man, early race leader as well. And he's going to find the going tough from here to get back onto the podium positions. And I think Mark will put up too much of a fight. Jay is clearly the quicker of the two drivers here tonight, and he's on a quicker, fresher set of tyres as well. And indeed Mark moves over to the left hand side to allow his teammate through. Good Ferrari team play there. And Jay there just moving left to right, as is Mark as well, which is a common thing you see in a lot of multiplayer, basically moving left to right. It's basically just a cheers mate, thanks for doing whatever you've done. And Jay says weaves left to right to say thank you, and Mark weaves left to right to say no worries pal, you crack on and get as many points as you can. So the Ferrari's changed position, P7 and P8. VRT Midnight slowly catching up to the back of Mark SP as well. Matt's still a long way back in P10. So lap 14 of 26. Louis has gained half a second this lap so far. As Wayne's hard tyres might slowly be surely coming close to the end of their cycle. Chapalele still 3.5 seconds back, but he's got a good 2 second gap, 2.1 second gap back to Matt. So Louis Chapelele and Matt Dubos are essentially P1, P2 and P3 once Wayne does politely pit off of those hard tyres. Paris will move up, I think, into 4th potentially. I think Sam is still too far back to get into 5th, but Paris will be pitting off of those medium tyres at some point as well, unless he's going for a do or die strategy to get to the end. And Jay as well, slowly starting to catch. You can see there that Mark SP's fallen back, and VRT Midnight is slowly starting to catch up as well on a very fresh set of hard tyres. And the VSR Marquez's comes into, well, I don't swear on stream, but basically Odems or Marquez's, however you want to call him, is unhappy with the track. So yeah, he's obviously binned it. And so no points then for our championship leader. And he'll have to go away, focus and regroup for next week's race at Barcelona in Spain. But he'll be safe in the knowledge that the likes of Blizzard and Onyx have also binned it into the wall. But be a bit disappointed to see the other two early championship contenders, VSR Wayne, ILRT Louis, running in a comfortable P1 and P2 at the moment. VRT Midnight slowly starting to creep up on the back of Mark SP, who's completed 13 laps on those hard tyres. Matt's still a long way back. And we await really to see when Wayne pits off those hard tyres. Not much is going to be happening now for the next few laps, and Wayne getting very close to the exit wall there. Just getting a bit of a slidey boy on coming out of turn 16. Through 18 and 19 now, and then the right hand kink just out of turn 20, which I don't really count as a corner, but it officially is a corner. So does Wayne pit now? He's on the left hand side. Is he thinking? Is he thinking? Is he thinking? He is. And now the last 10 laps of this race come alive, because Wayne will be pitting onto the medium tyres. I feel, I don't think it'll be the softs. Indeed it is the medium tyres. So Louis then takes the net lead, the true lead of this race. Where's Chapelele coming across the line? Matt Dubos just a couple of seconds back as well. I think Wayne will rejoin in P4, maybe P5 behind Paris. No, Matt will be out ahead. Wayne will be out ahead of Paris. That's good news to him. He didn't want to be losing any time behind that Williams driver. So now Wayne 2 seconds behind Matt. 2 seconds behind a potential podium place with P3 on a very fresh set of medium tyres. And the gap to Louis is around about 10, maybe 11 seconds. We'll have a quick look. It's 10.1, so 10 laps to go. 10 seconds behind Louis. Second a lap, and past both Chapelele and Matt Dubos, who will not make it easy. They will want to hold on to their podium finishes. Can it be done for Wayne? Well, we'll find out in about 3 or 4 laps, depending on how quickly he can get past this Alfa Romeo driver. And this now then really will be the main focal point towards the end of this race. There's not a lot else going on behind. Paris will be in at some point, I feel, to change onto probably a set of soft tyres, go for a fastest lap. Samster very safe in P6. Jay is slowly catching in P7 on those fresh set of medium tyres. You just see the Renault driver ahead there negotiating turn 7. SP falling back slowly into the clutches of Midnight. Matt FNG has made another pit stop onto the medium tyres. He's a long way back now in P10. So Louis then, he'll know that Wayne pitted. He may or may not know that he's on the medium tyres, and already Wayne potentially within DRS range here of Matt. We'll have a look at the interval time ahead. It's 8.5 tenths. So he definitely is in DRS range. We'll just wait to see if we hear the audio beep in the ear, and more importantly the finger on the button. Do we get it? We do. Finger on the button you see on there on the dash, and Wayne's top end speed will continue to rise and rise and rise, coming over the line then to lap 17 of 28, closing right up on that Alfa Romeo's rear wing. And Dubos already a little bit unnervy and unshaky through turn 1. You might go a little bit deep here into turn 2. No, the line is okay, but they've DRS again for Wayne in P4. And I'll be expecting him to close up. He's got to get past, if he wants to win this race, he's got to pass this Alfa Romeo as soon as possible. Matt doesn't even defend the inside for turn 3. Wayne says, thank you very much for making it nice and easy for me. And Wayne already up into the podium positions then. 3.6 seconds behind the racing point of Chapelele, who's shown good pace in qualifying and good clean racing as well in this race. He's kept out of trouble, and he's looking good for at least a podium spot, because if Wayne manages to get past, I don't think Matt is going to be able to close up unless he stays somehow within that slipstream. Penalties out there. Well, Jay has got 3 seconds. I think there's someone else out there that's got 3 seconds, but I can't remember who it was. It might have been Matt Dubos actually that's got 3 seconds, but I think his P4 at least will be relatively safe. The VRT Midnight has made a pit stop onto the soft tyres now, down in P9. But I believe he was already in P9, wasn't he? He was in P9 because he was giving chase to Mark Espy. So that gives the Ferrari Mark Espy a bit of breathing space. He knows he should be able to potentially get to... Well, I don't know, actually. I mean, he made a pit stop at the end of lap 2 onto those hard tyres. It would be a big ask for that Ferrari driver to get to the end. J-Lo is starting to close up, though, on Samster. Just 1.5 seconds now. So I think Mark Espy might need to make another pit stop. Paris should make another pit stop. Louis possibly could get to the end. I mean, we'll be looking at about 21 laps on a set of hard tyres, which will be impressive if he manages to do it. And Javen just not in DRS range just yet. Matt has failed to stay within the DRS of Wayne. And you can see there that Wayne is now got the bit between the teeth. Pedal to the metal. He's getting the hammer down now. Mark Espy indeed does decide to make a pit stop. He knew he was never going to get to the end of those hard tyres. So it'll be a battle there between Mark Espy and VRT Midnight. Thought it would be P8 and P9. So that might be something to keep an eye on. And Jay still closing up on the back of Samster and Wayne there very late on the brakes. Looking up the right front. Dragging the car wide as well. We lost a little bit of time there. But he's definitely going to be in DRS range unless he creams into the wall somewhere between here and the end of the lap. And I think Chapelele knows sooner rather than later, but he's got to really be focusing on keeping P3 ahead of Matt Tibos rather than defending P2 from VSR Wayne. And Louis then is now just 8 seconds, around about 8 seconds ahead of Wayne. And the beautiful thing about this circuit is when you do have the DRS down the main straight, it is a very, very easy move. You don't have to try too much, just make sure that the car ahead of you chooses the line he's going to take, and then you basically just drive around him. So top of the hill into turn 15. Both of them very aggressive over the curves, but keep it outside, keep it off of the outside wall, I should say. Now down into 16. And Wayne then just fiddling about with the ERS and the fuel mix on his steering wheel. 17, 18 and 19. Gaining all the time. And Chapelele, I think at this point, already knows the battle is over. He doesn't even try to defend the position. And VSR Wayne then wasn't even in the DRS range just yet, but he's managed to make the move complete, secure, controlled through into P2. And now the battle for the race win is on. Two of our early title challengers, and they're going to go head to head over the last 8 laps here. Louis, though, his hard tyres will be graining badly at this point, I feel. And Wayne is on a fresh set, a relatively fresh set of mediums that he can push for all of his might, take all of the life out of it to the end of this race. Louis, though, I feel will have to have a bit of tyre care. Meanwhile, further back, I said SP and VRT Midnight could be quite close. They're not. There's nearly 8 seconds between them, 7.5 seconds between them. Meanwhile, unsighted by me, Jay has managed to move up into 6th place ahead of Samster. He's obviously going to try and get those hard tyres to the end. Jay now 9.3 seconds behind Paris, who's going to be struggling on those medium tyres. He's just 2.8 seconds behind Matt Tibos. Paris has managed to find a bit of pace around here, even on these very used set of medium tyres. But I feel that Paris is going to struggle to get to the end without losing. He might get to the end, but he's going to be quite slow, I think, towards the end. So Jay has a slight opportunity, but he's 9 seconds in 7 laps. Sam still will be holding on valiantly to 7th place. He knows he'll be safe in 7th place. These guys will be safe in 8th, 9th and 10th as well. So Louis then comes around to complete lap 19. There'll be 7 to go. And the gap is 7 seconds. So a second a lap, like I said, a second a lap. And Wayne will be right with that McLaren driver, who will be on a very, very used set of hard tyres. This race is not over yet. Not at all. And Chapelele then will be looking to consolidate the P3. And Matt Tibos as well in 4th. And Paris does pit then off of those medium tyres. Here we go for a set of softs. So Jay will move up into 5th. Samster up into 6th. Paris will be out in P7. As Bretster, who was a very early retirement here, has finally decided to leave the session. A very difficult race for the youngster. A very difficult season so far for Bretster, to be honest. Hopefully things will change around for him sooner rather than later, because he's still stuck on -4 points as Mark SP sets a new fastest lap of the race, and he does stay behind Paris, who comes out on a set of soft tyres. So the fastest lap will probably be decided between these 3. Mark SP company has it. Has to be Paris will probably take that, I feel, in the next couple of laps. As for fastest lap in bracket number 2, it's the first time this season we've had no runners outside of the top 10. We only have 10 left. We've had 10 left now for quite a while. So I'm not too sure if the fastest lap is sort of decided between those guys. Because they're all out of the race, I don't know if they get a fastest lap or not. I assume we'll just have to wait and see what happens after this race. So Paris and SP quite close together for 7th and 8th. I think the Paris will slowly start to pull away. Midnight safe in 9th, Matt FNG safe in 10th. And now coming to the end of lap 20, 6 to go. The gap is 6.2 seconds. So Wayne only found 8 attempts that lap. He's got to find a little bit more if he wants to start putting the pressure on. Jay then a long way behind Matt, so unless Matt can find a bit of speed and challenge Chapelele for the final podium, I think the top 4 are pretty much set in their ways. I think Wayne is going to run out of time personally. Samster's holding on to Jay for now, but he'll be very aware that he's got 3 runners, or 2 runners quite within 15 seconds of him on a set of soft tyres, so Sam will be looking to not make any mistakes. He doesn't have any damage on that front wing, neither does Jay either. Paris will probably be setting a fastest lap sooner rather than later, but he's pulling Mark SP along for a nice ride. P7 and P8 within a second of each other. VRT Midnight in 9th, Matt in 10th, and back to these guys again then. 6 laps to go, including the one now. The gap is now down underneath 6 seconds as Mark SP corner cuts somewhere. It must have been in turn 1 somehow, and picks up a 3-second time penalty. Louis though, nice and controlled through the castle section. What's Wayne going to be like? Again, he's nice and smooth through there as well. So 6 laps to go for these guys, including the one at the moment. Wayne needs to find pretty much a second a lap here if he's going to challenge Louis for this eventual race win. And as I was about to take a very short break there, Samster has retired from the race. I can only assume it's somewhere in the castle section. Yes, it is indeed. He's clouted the front left there, halfway up that little hill. And the Renault driver has brought out the yellow flags in Sector 2 and is another casualty in this race of attrition. And he'll be disappointed by that. Matt FNG will be up into P9, a virtual safety car then. So a virtual safety car comes out. It's the first time we've seen some sort of a safety car in this race, considering we've had, I think, 8 drivers retire and a whole host of debris all over the circuit. I'm surprised that it's only the first time it's come out. This will be good news to Louis. This is essentially half the lap where VSR Wayne cannot catch unless it goes green again in a favourable part of the circuit. So DRS has been enabled. They've managed to go racing again. 5 laps to go. And the gap is 5.6 seconds. So it's still doable for Wayne. There's Jay in the pits again. Is this to fix front wing damage or not? Is he in the pits, out the pits? He's coming out of the pits. So Paris then up into P5. Mark SP up into 6th. Midnight will not be able to get past Jay. So we've got another driver then going for the fastest lap point. I'm interested to see how many drivers have made pit stops now. So both Jay and VRT Midnight have made 3 pit stops. Paris, SP and Matt FNG have made 2. The top 4 have only made 1. Oh, Paris very deep there. Very deep into turn 3. And Mark SP says thank you very much. And manages to swoop by on the inside, pushing that Williams driver down into P6. So the order's still changing with these guys. Meanwhile, at the front, VSR Wayne is now under 5 seconds away, and Mathieu Boss actually is almost within striking distance of Chapelele. And Chapelele there looked a little bit wide there. Did he just clip the wall and damage that front wing? No, it's fine. Matt should be fine as well. It is indeed. So 5 laps to go. 4 laps to go. The gap is now 4.5 seconds between these two. It's still time. Is still running out for Wayne. He's just hanging on to a potential opportunity, I should say, to challenge Louis for the race win, but it'll probably come down to the run to the line on the final lap. Chapelele and Tibos. Tibos is agonisingly just outside of DRS range. And Paris then and SP are still close together. A lock up and a mistake at turn 3 on this lap allowed Mark SP to sail through on the inside, but Paris might now take that position back with the tow, with the slipstream, with the all-important DRS as well. SP doesn't move. And we'll jump on board with the Ferrari driver as Paris in the Williams sails on by into P5 and does a little bit of ERS saving as well, coming into the braking zone. So it could be a little battle that these two might stick to because they're on similar strategies at this point. It's got a little battle here for 5th and 6th. Jay in P7 all on his own. VRT Midnight coming back into the pits again. So is he going for another set of soft tyres to try and take down the fastest lap? And Matt then promoted up to P9 because his teammate has put it in the wall in the castle section. And he'll be promoted into P8 as well. Possibly. And as Midnight manages to get out ahead, it's going to be quite close between these two actually. I think Matt will just about get the position. He does, and Midnight will have to slot in behind him P9, but he's on a fresh set of soft tyres, so I don't think this will be a battle that will be lasting too long. Coming to complete lap 23, going into lap 24-26. They'll be free to go at the end of this lap, and indeed Matt F&G manages to get past, VRT manages to get past Matt F&G at the first braking zone, really, turn 3. And I think Matt will just have a quiet run to P9 now. So Louis then, 3 laps to go, including the one he's just started now. The gap to him and Wayne is 3.8, so the gap is increasing now. And Jamie coming in there saying the Wolves have won today. They really have. And I think heads have rolled as well. There's been some drivers out there that have made some silly mistakes. But 17 drivers started, 9 so far are going to be classified. And we may even lose another 1 or 2 before the end of this race. Because we've got Matt still giving chase to Shapalele up ahead. This is possibly a tasty little battle towards the end of this race, both on identical strategies. Look at that, both completed 17 laps in the hard tyres. And then we've got Paris and Mark SP very, very close behind as Jay on the fresh set of soft tyres sets a new fastest lap, so the extra championship point goes to the Ferrari driver at the moment. So through the castle section again, we've seen so much action and instance tonight, but both Louis and Wayne have managed to keep it clean. And Louis picks up a 3-second time penalty. Louis has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I don't think Wayne has any, and I think that was Louis' first one as well. Jay has 3 seconds. I think Mark SP does as well, or it might be Matt Tibos. So Louis then picks up a 3-second time penalty. Now some of you might be asking, oh, check the race director to see who has what. I don't like to check the race director. I like the surprise and suspense at the end of a race. And if my maths are right from what I've seen on screen, Wayne is now less than 4 tenths away from potentially winning this race with just 2 laps left to go. So what can Wayne do about this? Has he asked his race engineer if the car ahead has penalties? Has Louis asked his race engineer if the car behind has penalties? Because that could change everything. Matt's still giving chase to Shapalele. And Paris has now broken clear of Mark SP. So there's nothing really going on further behind. It's all about these 2 at the front. Here's our Wayne now 3.2 seconds behind. And there is. He can now see Louis ahead of him, so he doesn't need to know the gap. He's got a visual there. He's got a visual gap there. And I've always found in the league racing I've done, and I started in 2011, I didn't really care about the actual gap in sectors and how many tenths behind I was. If I saw the car in front of me, that was all the motivation I needed to close down that gap, to hunt down that driver, to try and overtake. And with a lap and a half to go here, Wayne is going to be doing exactly that. He can now see that McLaren ahead of him more often than not, but he's got to keep it clean. It's Jay in the pits again. He must be running out of tyres by now. Has he made 4 stops? Just having a quick look. He has, and so has VRT Midnight. 4 pit stops. Is there some record out there in One Hub Racing they want to collect? Because they're probably on course to doing it. So Louis then has managed to extend this lap. The gap is now up to 3.6, and we're coming into the final lap here as well. There's no other battles on circuit. Everyone is spread out enough to not worry. The only way there'll be a position change if someone derps it into the wall. And you can just about see that McLaren up ahead. You can see the silhouette in the distance. And Louis then comes across the line to start lap 26 of 26. He has at least 1 3-second time penalty. And Wayne currently 3.5 seconds back. But Louis done a very, very good job here of holding on with these hard tyres. He already completed 22 laps of the 26 on a set of hard tyres. We know that Louis is a bit of an alien at the game, but even that takes a bit of skill to pretty much do 90%, 85-90% of this race on a set of hard tyres. No matter what circuit it is, it's not an easy thing to do. Shapalele and Tibos still circulating around at a good rate of knots. They've both completed 19 laps on a set of hard tyres. So LR Nick then, who was a mid-race retirement, leaves the session. VSR Wayne, and still not within that magic 3-second window. We'll have a quick look at everyone else going on behind as well. Shapalele, I think, is safe in third. DeBoss, I'm pretty sure, has a 3-second time penalty, but he will be safe in P4. Paris in fifth has been up and down the leaderboards like a yo-yo. Mark SP in 6th, Jay all the way back in 7th. 4 pit stops. Our pole man will be disappointed to only come away with P7 considering 9 drivers finished. VRT Midnight as well started towards the very front of the field along with his teammate. He's down in 8th place, and I think it'd be disappointing for Matt FNG all the way down in 9th. But here comes Louis then. No damage on that front wing. Same for VSR Wayne, and all Louis got to do now is just turn everything up to the max. Don't make a mistake through the left and right hander towards the end of this lap, and as long as Louis can keep pushing, he should, I think, keep hold of this race win. You can see Wayne in the background there. Louis then across the line. A good, really good run from the McLaren driver. Does he keep the race win? He does by just over 1/10 of a second. So Chapellet then will be coming up to the line, already weaving left to right, as he knows he is safe, secure in the final podium spot. A good result for himself and the Racing Point team. Matt Tibos, a good drive by him as well in P4. And then we wait for S2V Paris in 5th. Like I said, he's been up and down the timing screens like a yo-yo throughout the race as well. And I think he'll be relatively happy to survive and come home with P5 and 10 championship points. Mark SP as well in 6th. He survived, many didn't, picks up 6th. And then we wait for Jay, VRT Midnight and Met FNG to cross the line as well. Jay will be disappointed. He started his race in pole position. He led the early laps as well. But his race fell apart mid-race. And he's big in the pits quite a few times towards the end as well to try and gain the fastest lap. Will he get the fastest lap on this one? He does indeed. So 6 points turns into 7 for the Ferrari driver. But he would have wanted much, much more. VRT Midnight, he'll be disappointed. Him and his teammate qualified in P2 and P3. And whilst one of the Racing Points finished on the podium, the other one can only manage 8th. And Matt FNG, a quiet second half of this race, just keeping himself out of trouble, picks up 9th place as our final classified runner. So ILRT Louis for the McLaren Renault team picks up the 25 points. VSR Wayne for the Mercedes team with 18. And then it is the Racing Point of Chapelele in 3rd place. A good drive by all 3 of them as well. At a circuit which usually favours those that do manage to keep it clean. And these 3, I don't think, put a wheel wrong all race, which is why they are on the podium. There we go, and just to confirm, ILRT Louis did have just a 1 3-second time penalty and just about held on at the end of the race to pick up the race win. VSR Wayne in 2nd, Chapelele in 3rd, and it's Matt Tivos in 4th place with a 3-second time penalty. Paris in 5th for Williams. Both the Ferraris had time penalties, but changes nothing. Mark SP in 6th, Jay in 7th, all the way from pole position. Then it's VRT Midnight in 8th, Matt FNG, the final runner in P9. We lost, deep breath please, Sam Star, Marquez's, Kian, Blizzard, LR Nick, VSR Onyx, Bretster, and Owen Wyatt. So 9 drivers of the 17. We lost almost half of the runners. And quickly then, before I go, as I do solo commentary here, it's my job to come up with not 1 but 2 possible driver of the day candidates, which will obviously be tweeted out by One Hub Racing in the next couple of days. Looking at this, really, I mean, to be honest with you, it's difficult to call. I am looking at Louis and Wayne for managing to keep it clean, pick up the 1-2 as well, but Paris from 16th has managed to survive and pick up 5th place. But Chapelele had a good run, I thought. And the same with Matt Tibos and Mark Espy. But I think the driver of the day votes, I think I will take them to both ILRT Louis and VSR Wayne. They both rose through the field on different strategies as well, managed to keep it clean, and managed to pick up both the race win for Louis and the 2nd place for VSR Wayne. So there we go then. That is the race all over and done with. No surprise to see so much action, crashes and carnage at a circuit like Baku. But thank you very much to each and every single one of you that has joined for the stream, and I'll speak to you guys next week at 9:30 in Barcelona for round 5 at Spain.